up today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Isaiah, go ahead and take it away. Rudy is here as well. He is with Isaiah from Prosperity Bank. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. We appreciate you. Go ahead and get started.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you very much, Ms. Tillwell, for introducing us. So hello, every wonderful person that we have connected here. Thank you for joining the session and following us on this journey of knowledge and growth. So I just want to, once again, thank you very much. I understand what we're, in the process of learning. So without further ado, here's a bit of a crash course of credit reports and scores. If at any moment you have any questions, like she said, please feel free to leave a comment in the text and, utilize the technology that we have ahead of us. Take a screenshot if you find any important information. We have this lovely PowerPoint presentation to help guide us. For the most part, I'm going to be narrating over it with, a few of my commentary. And if you, like I said, feel free to ask any questions. Everything is welcomed. So without further ado, here we go. Today we're going to be talking about credit reports and scores. So if you see above right here, we have, mortgage installment revolving, other in total. This is, an overview. And we're going to be overviewing a lot today. So please take notes. So we have credit reports, and we have a few things to take away from that. It can affect your access to credit, loans, jobs, housing, insurance, and other important services. So understanding your rights helps you know how to protect your credit history. Now, my parents and a lot of the elders that I've followed throughout my life have always not necessarily warned me, but helped guide and mold me onto being a responsible consumer, making sure that I don't get left behind in life. And this was always a pressing topic that they really wanted to hammer in. So I'm sure a lot of your family has done the same. So here is a breakdown more of what we do with credit and credit history. So on your report, there is a lot of information that is taken into account. So if you were familiar with a Credit Karma or any other company that has provided you with credit, with a credit report or a credit score, you'll understand that it's requiring the most pertinent information. And, we have your name, your age, any arrest or convictions, credit card payments, your income, bankruptcies, cell phone plans, debt to income ratio, student loan payments, credit card limits, traffic tickets and fines, savings account balance, debit card purchases. So in other words, it's your life's progress report. And you want to be able to be accountable for a lot of that. And what this credit report does is helps you get into a lot of doors that you may not necessarily know you will be needing to walk into further along the road in life. So let's continue. What is listed in the credit report? It's your identifying information, your debts and some bills, public record information, your applications for new credit card and other inquiries. So in other words, a shortened version of all the other dotted lines that we had in the previous slide. These are the three main credit reporting agencies: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So no matter where you're going in America, and no matter what you do, if you're involved with your social security number and you utilize it, these are the main companies that will, in other words, have a trace on you. They help you get a better, like I said, doorway into life, because a lot of companies that if they run a background check on you, they utilize these three companies. So what is a credit score? It's a number based on the information in credit reports. So it predicts the payment of bills and debts as agreed. And people with higher credit scores are likely to present lower risk to creditors. If you ask grandma for a couple of dollars here and a couple of dollars there, you say you'll pay her back in a week, and you pay it back in 2 weeks, well, she's going to keep a mental note of that. Well, it's a bit different whenever it comes to, big name corporations. They want to know a little bit more who they're dealing with. Let's continue. So who uses it? We've got financial institutions, some landlords, utility companies, some cell phone companies, insurance companies in some states, and employers in some states. Some state agencies are affiliated organizations. So as Ms. Tidwell stated, I am associate of Prosperity Bank, and I did need a background check run on me. And I would imagine that they wouldn't want somebody who is in a bit of trouble or not financially responsible to be dealing with other people's money. So in Texas, they do some of that. But if you notice that these other bulletins of financial institutions, landlords, and utility companies, that sounds a lot to me that, if I'm going to apply for an apartment or if I need some sort of housing and they're going to be looking at my score, if I'm not in the best of situations financially and they pull my credit report, I think my approval odds are going to be pretty low. The same with cell phone companies. You wouldn't really think as much, but if you're trying to stay in connection with the world, I'd say it's pretty it's a pretty good thing for them to check to see if they're going to have somebody who's going to be paying their bill and not getting consistently disconnected. So that being said, let's move forward. Risk-based pricing. It's basically credit reports and scores may be used as one factor in risk-based pricing. Lenders set interest rates and other terms based on estimated risks. They must tell you if they use your credit reports or credit scores to offer you less favorable terms or deny your application. An adverse action notice is distributed, or a risk-based pricing notice is distributed as well. This being said, if you are applying for something small, then they may pull what is called a soft pull of your credit. It's not everything in detail like a credit report that you get from the three major lenders would be. It's just a look into the window of your payability, in other words, to see what they would want to give you in terms of their products. And as stated in the bulletin below, if they do not wish to, they must disclose it to you. So it is all risk-based. It is all dependent entirely on you. You want to keep a good record and a good, pace with how you deal with your finances responsibly. Okay, next slide. So if you're not familiar with credit at all and you haven't been mentioned to it entirely by any family member, you're just going at life, well, right, and you haven't applied for anything, you would have what we call a invisible credit. So it's not having no credit report or scores. It's simply non-existent. So it could result in you having a harder time getting a credit card or a loan, renting an apartment, getting a favorable cell phone plan, obtaining some jobs, and turning on utilities without paying a large deposit. So in other words, it's the latter. If you don't have credit, it still could close a couple doors for you in life. So this is where a lot of people, kind of sit on the fence. They don't want to be in debt, and they don't also want to be denied due to not having any credit. It's a personal decision, and all respects given to either side. Like I stated, though, there are many doors available to you depending on your accountability. So take that into note. So here's an instance we have with Mrs. Yardley. So let's go ahead and read it over it together. And it's going to basically say why credit reports matter. And it's an instance. So Yardley was convinced that credit reports did not matter, and she didn't plan on getting a credit card or any kind of loan. She used cash for everything. Yardley recently moved and needed to find an apartment. Some landlords would not rent to her because she had no credit history, even if she promised to pay her rent each month in cash. When she found an apartment she liked and a willing landlord, she had to pay a higher security deposit because she did not have a credit history. She also had to pay a deposit for her utilities because she had no credit history. So she decided to find out more about credit reports and why having no credit history seemed to create some obstacles and additional cost for her. So what would you tell Yardley about credit reports? Well, I would tell her that I would want to save some money if I had to put a deposit down just to turn on the lights. For many people, if they did have a credit card, starting out, as soon as they were able to obtain a line of credit, it at least established a starting point. And a lot of companies recognize that. They say, okay, well, they need to get this going. Let's be one of the first few companies that helps build this person up. And that you would either have to do a lower deposit to turn on the lights or even none at all. So it all depends. And your research into whatever utilities you want, that's all depending on you. So don't think that it's a one-way exit just because you don't have credit. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and ask if anybody has any questions or comments, concerns. Feel free to use the chat box. If not, just give a good to go, G to G, thumbs up, whatever you like.
If you have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. If you are good to go, give me a thumbs up. Let me see some thumbs up. I see 1. I see 2. Okay. 3, 4. All right. Okay. All right. So I think we're good to go. I don't think we have any questions. 5.
Awesome. Well, everybody, let's continue. So we have what's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, and it's for the summary of it, it's anyone who uses a credit report to deny your application or offer you less favorable terms for credit, insurance, or employment, and they must do so. This is as stated before, they must distribute those documents to you stating why and who they used to determine your accountability for it. So you have the right to know what is in each of your credit reports, and you will be required to prove who you say you are when you request to see your reports. So they may ask you for identifying information if you need those forms. Opting out. You can opt out of receiving pre-screened offers of credit or insurance, and you can do so for 5 years or permanently. You may still get offers based on lists from other sources. So if your information is out there, you can politely ask them, if so, not offer anymore. And you can opt back in, but you cannot opt out of having a credit report. Everybody has one. So the key takeaway, as before, is your credit history can affect your access to credit, loans, jobs, housing, insurance, and other important services. So please understand your rights, and that way it can help you know how to protect your credit history. Credit scores. So if you notice this image that we have here, 730 is an excellent number for some reporting agencies. It does go up to 850, but look what they take into accommodation: payment history, the amount of debt, the length of credit history, and the amount of new credit. And it also has more identifying information. But these are this is the best word that you would want to ever have a crediting company have next to your name. So moving forward. The takeaway from this section will be for you to improve and manage your credit score in a certain amount of steps, and it includes paying your bills on time and as agreed, if not the most important rule of credit reports and scores. The basics of credit scoring. The number calculated from information in credit reports is your credit score. So the number. Generally, if you have a higher number, it means you have better credit history. It, generally is, allowing those other variables to be in. Your credit score is factored by a numerous amount, and we will have a chart here in a moment that will break it down a little further. It predicts the likelihood of payment of credit obligations on time and as agreed, very important. And 2 significant factors affect your credit scores. It's whether you repay debts on time and as agreed, and your credit utilization rate. 2 significant factors. Whenever I started learning on my credit history of especially the credit utilization rate, I would notice that it impacted my score heavily, even though I thought that I know I'm gonna pay this off in time, if not quicker than what it is. But since I didn't have many other credits through other creditors available, and I just had one, I was technically maxing out. So that's those 2 significant factors are something you really need to pay attention to. Okay. So the basics of credit scoring. You get multiple producers of credit scores, and you likely have multiple credit scores. They have the FICO, the Fair Isaac Corporation. I'm pretty sure most of us have heard of that. The Vantage score, and there are also others. Like I said, there are different corporations that take into account in different variables how to produce your credit score. And they also provide different models for the different types of credit. These are the 5 main factors in the general FICO model. If you notice, the payment history of this pie chart is significantly bigger than the other 4 variables. Next to that is amounts owed, the length of credit history, the credit mix, and the new credit. So payment history, that's paying on time. That's paying before or even more than the amount that was on the minimum payment. Amounts owed, that's your credit utilization. You always want to keep it lower than 30%. So let's say you have a credit card and you have $10,000 on that worth of credit. So you would only want to spend $3,000, if not less. It's always better to be less. Like, you don't want to be in too much debt. That's the general rule of thumb and what a lot of companies look at prior to giving more approvals on credit or purchases. So, and let's say you have that one credit card since you didn't have no credit and you barely started it. The length of how long you've had that account with that creditor is taken into account. If you're, constantly closing credit cards, or if you're just, utilizing a prorated period or an installation period, and you just close it out, it lowers your length of credit history. So if you only had one for a year and you had that 10,000 and you close it out and open up another one, you've significantly dropped your length of credit history. It is a moderate factor, but not more important than the payment history and amounts owed. Also, the credit mix. Let's say you have a car loan, you have a installment loan, just a small loan of $1,000, and you have a Best Buy card and you bought a couple pieces of technology. They like to see a good general mix of being able to manage your money in different areas of the market. And if you're able to do that, as well as, paying on time and keeping it below the utilization rate, it looks better on you immensely. I can't stress that enough. You're able to be the ultimate juggler of and master and control of your life. So with that being said, any new credit that you get is, worth a smaller amount of percentage, and they do look at that, but the primary 4 are what get you in a better door in life. So the order of your credit scores, they may not be the ones that are used. If turned down for credit, you have the right to see the exact score used. Your score is updated every other day or so, and that's because your creditors work on different operating days of sending out statements, and your payments may not all necessarily align on the same date, which is why it's updated. If you are aware of it, it's generally about every week. So make sure your credit scores are accurate and reflect information that is in your credit report. And that way it gives you the option to review it and also dispute any errors that you may see. So what is a good credit score? So it depends on the model that you're using, but this is the one of an example based on FICO. Like I stated, it can go up to 850. You are more than likely able to get good rates within the very good range, but the absolute best rates, the lower amount of tax that you have to spend at the end of the term of credit, is best in the exceptional range. So how do you get to the exceptional range? You want to be able to keep your utilization low, make your payments on time, and have an established history. So it references back to that pie chart. But don't worry, if you have good, fair, or even poor, there are a lot of companies out there that are able to recognize that not everybody's in the best position in life to be able to, maintain every angle that is attacking them. So they have a general, honest outlook on that, and they provide you with something that is fair. But please do your independent research and make sure that you do read the fine line in print. That way you can make sure you're getting the best deal for your time, ultimately, for your time and finances. Because ultimately, the most that you save in that period will help you for that next step that you take. So just remember the takeaway. You can take steps to improve and manage your credit score. It's not the end of the world. I've had a low score myself, and I was able to build up, and it gives you a certain amount, a certain sense of pride, and also just that great feeling that you're able to cover dot your I's and cross your T's. You're able to be that person. So let's go ahead and let's be that person. Pay your bills on time and as agreed. So how do you get it and how do you understand it? Well, how do you see your credit report and your scores? For the Section 3 takeaway, you can review your credit score or report for free every 12 months to make sure the information is accurate. Now, as stated before, there are many corporations that allow you to view it. If you are already familiar with banking, like Prosperity, some banks do allow your credit score to be applied, because whenever you signed up for the bank, you gave them your social. They're able to, in other words, view that for you and provide it into a format that's easily accessible through your phone. Not all institutions do, but it's just a good tip to take. If you want it for free, though, you can, and we'll get it from our annual reports, and it'll be coming up shortly. I'm sorry, the slide was next. But how do you make a productive credit history? So you have the right to free credit reports, and it was the same one. I'm so very sorry. Equifax, Experience, and TransUnion. You can get that at, oops. It appears that the passkey to our session is taking over the official website. So let me just escape this right quick and let me show you. I already had it pulled up. It's going to be annualcreditreport.com. Here it'll give you all of the information provided from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. In other words, the titans of the credit score world. These are utilized by many employers. They are on most background checks, and they provide the most updated information that you have, in other words, had on your progress report, your life report, right? Anything that you've done credit-wise, they'll have it. So you can get it right here, annualcreditreport.com. You can request it on the main page. They also have it right here. And just because they're generous like that, they have frequently asked questions and a lot more pull downs that we can get into. But proceeding on to the PowerPoint. And keep in mind, you can get one of those for free. After that, they will charge you. If you do choose to utilize other programs that are able to show you that, more power to you. But like I said, please read the fine line, because some of them will sell information. And if you're anything like me, I don't really like ads getting sent to my email or whichever, or mail with offers and for that instance. So it opens the door for us to be more cautious whenever we're dealing with our credit. You got to be careful with imposters. They advertise free credit reports, credit scores, or credit monitoring, and are not part of the legally mandated free annual credit report program. That is key. If you do your due diligence and they don't have that in the fine line, often the free services convert to ones that you have to pay for after the trial period. And so once again, here is the direct link. So you do have a right to get additional free credit reports. If you receive public assistance or unemployed and looking for a job, victim of identity theft or financial loss, a state law provides for a free credit report. So if you're denied credit, service for an apartment or employment, please utilize this. So what sections are in credit reports? Personal or identifying information, public records, accounts assigned or sold, meaning that if your account with one credit card was charged off because you didn't make payments for about 120 days or 3 months, it still follows you. So it's important that you never forget that just because you may have lost the opportunity to, make the payments, it's still your responsibility. So it happens with credit accounts as well as inquiries. So you can get your credit scores from other places as well. You can do it from some nonprofit organizations, credit card statements, or websites. When you have a right to a score, with the previous bulletins, the unemployment, the public assistance, or you can go to one of the three titans as reference as well, the FICO at www.myfico.com or Vantage Score, and they also have Experian. So don't ever lose hope. You can always have access to it. Your information is out there. Just make sure you're able to secure it. Section 4 is about disputing errors in your credit reports. If you find errors on your credit reports, file a dispute right away and be sure to keep records and follow up. Another personal instance from my life is I've tried to apply for a few things, but one inconsistency that I had barely fixed was whenever I moved out of high school, moved out of the house from high school. I applied somewhere and apparently maybe the associate filled out the wrong information in regards to my address, and it ended up populating to some place in the Northeast. So they always wanted to verify, like, hey, are you here? Can you show me a utility? Or will you be working here in Texas? Because they want to know how they can contact you, reach you. If you lose that phone and you don't have access to the internet, well, they got to send you mail. Well, how are they going to know where you live if it's incorrect information? So unfortunately, it sometimes can result in denial. So whenever you see something in error, file it right away. Save you the time. Like I should have probably saved mine, but that headache's no longer there, and I'm gonna show you how to be able to do that. So be sure to keep up with your records and follow up. So errors on your credit reports. There's identity errors, incorrect reporting of account status, data management errors, balance errors, outdated information. If we remember that chart, and if you can input these next to them, the bullet points next to them, if I were to have a balance error next to my credit utilization rate, and it puts me over 30% when I know I paid it off about 2 months ago, but the creditor, for some reason, miscommunication, whatever it may be, just didn't have the time to do it, and it's still reporting on you, it's not going to improve your score until it changes. So you're going to have to get in contact with them, and in other words, just like dot your I's and cross your T's. This can hold you back more than you know. And even though you may be waiting on them to make the correction themselves, hey, give them a call. Give them your account number and say, this is done. I'm so-and-so, and this needs to be taken care of. That way they can at least have it as a notation of the account, and it's already going to be put in paper. Because I guarantee you, if somebody on the back end is, slammed up with work, especially with all the conflictions with us having to do a lot more over the internet, something like that can possibly be backlogged. And I'm taking control of my life. I'm sorry. I'm not going to allow you to delay me any further. So keep that mindset, that grind set is, hey, I'm moving forward and I'm opening doors. And if you're holding me back, well, that's why it's called a dispute. So the balance errors as well as outdated information. Keep it up to par. There are time limits for negative information, so don't worry. I'm sure maybe you've heard that some things fall off. Well, we're going to get into that. Generally, it can only be reported on credit reports for 7 years. So if you have a negative payment, don't worry. 7 years, I'm wiping that off. Start clean. You don't want too many of those. To be honest, you don't want any at all. Keep that 100% record. We got smartphones nowadays. Set up automatic pay. Set a reminder for yourself. There ain't no excuse. We got the world at our fingertips. So it is called a smartphone. It can smartly remind you. And, well, that's one of the greatest tools that we have in this time of our age. So it also covers the same for bankruptcies, and there are exceptions for that. Those are for business owners. There are no time limits for negative information for somebody who applies for a job with a salary of $75,000 or more, or if you have $150,000 worth of credit. That stays, as well as life insurance with a face value of $150,000 or more. All right. So just to see if everybody's still awake, I know it's Friday. We got the weekend ahead of us. Is everybody good to go? Any questions? Just feel free to utilize that chat box. Let me know how you're doing. Mr. Rudy, Mr. Tidwell, is everything good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just listening.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions? I know you asked, but I just wanted to verify. See knows. Give me a thumbs up if you feel like you've enjoyed what we've heard so far. Okay, I see some thumbs. Okay. Isaiah, you doing the thing. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up. Let's get it. On to the next one. So the 7-year reporting period can be confusing, and there's different dates, but it generally starts at 180 days after you stop paying on the debt. Oops. Okay, we got an example here. August 2018, 30 days late. So the delinquency started in August. And in November 2018, 120 days late, the creditor closes the account. They charge you off. They say, you know what? We attempted to call you. We tried doing the best we could to say, hey, you still owe us. Well, here's the thing. Like I said, it follows you. So don't think that you're in the clear just because they stopped calling you. And I guarantee you, along that line, they can sell your account and also continue to tax you. So the longer you pay on the delinquency, it's best to just pay on time. Let's just leave it at that. So going back to August, the month before that's July. That's the month that you were supposed to pay. So July, fast forward 180 days, is January 2019. That's the key date that we're looking at. Because from there, counting 7 years, in January 2026 is whenever it will no longer be reported. So I don't know about you, but I don't want that hanging over my head if I'm gonna, I don't know where I'm gonna be in 7 years, but I got a good plan and I got a good idea that, if I'm gonna apply for a house or if I'm gonna apply for a car, I'm not gonna have that weighing me down. I'm gonna do my best to work with those creditors if I need to set up a payment plan or a settlement. But the key rule of thumb is just to always pay on time. And 7 years is quite a long time. I'm not going to wait a decade to say I'm not good enough to get a good rate on a house. So moving forward. not a lot of people know that medical debt can generally be on the credit reports as well. So if it's unpaid for at least 180 days, it gives you time to resolve billing disputes and make payments and arrangements. So there's help as long as you ask for it. There's routes to your success as long as you take the right doors. You always want to be professional and honest about your situation, because a lot of companies, they are business. They do have to meet their bottom line. You got to recognize that you can't set other people's behind to set yourself forward, because that's just not nice, and we want to be a better society. So as continue. How to dispute them. You can do it online or by mail. Well, we're online right now, and we know a few websites to go to. If you choose to do it by mail, here is how. You put your complete name and address. You put the clear description of each item you are disputing and the reason for each dispute, and a request for correction or removal. So depending on how you utilize the account, and every number and everything is logged nowadays. So keep that in mind, because they have a file system and they'll be able to know, and if you potentially lie, or if you are, in other words, in malicious intent, but be honest and just request for the correction or removal, and just do so in a polite manner. And I guarantee you, treating people the way you would want to be treated is the best rule whenever you're dealing with your life's progress report. So it's also very, very helpful to include supporting information. So send copies, not the originals. You always want to retain originals for anything that you do, for your filing records. You don't want to have it sent off and potentially lost, and you don't have a copy, do you? Or maybe you did. But regardless as well, receipts, credit card or account statements, image of a check, a screenshot of online transaction or automatic bill payment. We have the world at our fingertips. So, I see it a lot. Send them receipts. I got them receipts. If you got the dirt on somebody, you got receipts. But that's your information log. You keep up with it. It's a really healthy habit for your financial goals. After you file a dispute, the credit reporting agency will send you a letter. Verify, hey, is this you? Are you doing what you're saying you're doing? If there's any incorrect information and it cannot be put back, just check to make sure. You can request notices of correction to be sent to individuals or businesses that received your report. So that means if the company that is challenging you, you can have the big titans send it themselves. It's more of a validation sort of thing, but it's helpful to have as many hands and people on the conversation as possible to help you on your life's progress report. There are many people out there who do honest work and want to help people. So, just be kind and utilize that to your advantage. Well, once again, the takeaway is to find the errors on your credit reports, file a dispute right away, and be sure to keep records and follow up. So, referencing back to Section 2, I believe it was stating that you can get your credit report once a year. Well, that's true, that's for free. But we also discussed that how it can be a trial period and you can continuously get it. So you can always view it, and that is also a healthy habit. And don't worry, the majority of them are soft inquiries, which means that they don't last but a few months. But if you do apply for a new credit, that will be a hard inquiry, and that lasts up to 2 years. So always stay on top of your credit report, always know your credit score, and look at the detailed information of what these companies have on you. That way you can make sure that you're accessible to any sort of fraud attempts or any charges, and ultimately the statements, because you need, with my instance, they weren't going to send to Northeast New York, and while I'm stating that I'm working here out of Texas, and it's just to have a better communication method between you and the creditor. Section 5, building, repairing, and maintaining a productive credit history. You notice these people here, they're happy. They're in a brand new house. They're in control. You can see that light, that sun shining in the background. There's nothing but brighter days ahead. This is all good, imagery to show you that, doing what Section 5 is implying will be your best route in helping you succeed. So the takeaway from this section would be your credit history or your past does not have to be or determine your credit future. Don't give up. It's not the end of the world if you miss a payment. It's not gonna keep you from getting a house. Well, if you mess up big, though, so watch out for that. It could. So let me kind of backtrack on that. But like I said, it's not going to be the end of the world. A pro tip is, if you are kind, if you do not do it on occasion, you can ask, and if you have the finances available, if you made a late payment, you can ask the creditor to do a courtesy takeaway of a late payment, as long as you pay it that day that you're on them. So that'll save you a late payment being, reported on your progress report. If you even have one, it can drop your score by many points, not even just a single digits, double digits. And depending on your utilization rate and the minimum amount paid, like I said, there's so many variables of whenever it comes to maintaining your credit. But we do have the technology to keep us on track. Utilize it. So, first step, you need to repair it or you need to improve it. What do you need to do? Set yourself up for success. If you have a notepad, jot it down. Just start with the dots that you have here. You can take a screenshot if you need to. It's get and review your credit reports. How are you going to know what you need to do if you don't have it, right? If you don't know your score, what score do you know that you're trying to get to? You want a perfect score? You want 850, or you're trying to, repair something? If you don't know what's on your credit report, you can't dispute it and you can't correct any errors. So it follows itself. So pay all of your bills on time and as agreed. Use as little of your credit limit as possible, and use a credit building strategy. So keep old accounts open if you can, apply for credit only if you need it, and negotiate different terms. Some people have asked me that I just got the letter in the mail and I applied for it. Well, they put a number with that mail. I know they wanted you to do it electronically, and I know they probably assume that you just scroll to the bottom and click I agree on that terms. Well, I recommend you do so. That way you're knowledgeable on it. But get the number down, call them directly, negotiate. This is a consumer market, buyer, seller, high demand, low demand. If you're just setting it up for yourself from what they put on a piece of paper, you're limiting yourself to that one door. So always negotiate, barter. Hey, it's your money that you want to spend or you want to borrow, and you want to pay it back on a lower rate. Now, at least I would want to, because I'll save that money in the future. I can put that in a savings account, let that build up, and let my money make itself. And if you're looking to repair it, well, just ask for a goodwill deletion. If you've kept a reasonable, good client relationship with the creditor, they'll look out for you. Like I said, you gotta manage yourself and display yourself as professional and honest as possible. They'll see all the notes that any previous associate has, conversed with you. So you don't want to always be angry. You don't want to go at it, because I understand it can get frustrating. It can feel like nobody's looking out for you, but a lot of these companies have policies and procedures and they need to follow them through and through. It is their job, and I'm sure that they would want to keep it and be able to continue making finances for their family. So if you're in that position, just be polite, and I'm sure you will do just fine with getting that accepted as a goodwill deletion. I don't want anything negative on my credit report. I am relatively young and I want the best possible future for my kids. So I know that maintaining my credit will ultimately be a reflection on them in the future. And we'll get more into that in the upcoming sections. So build an alternative credit history. Document other payments you regularly make, such as rent, childcare, cell phone bills, electric bills, utilities, etc. Your television, your internet, insurance payments, loan from friends and family members, and even your savings. Keeping this system of checks and balances will help you thrive financially. I can't express that enough. You will be on top of every cent, and I know it seems meticulous. I know it does. Say, hey, I got online banking, mobile banking, I can see this and that. Well, do a little bit more further. Just, calculate what helps you ultimately purchase and, be a responsible consumer. So, moving on. You want to build your credit, right? Well, there's a few methods out there. Here we have listed a secured credit card. Lock it down. Make sure you know where it's going to, what corporation you're using, and have that in agreement. Have that statement, that opening contract. Know what you're signing up for, or get a credit building loan. To be honest, that's how I started. When I didn't do so well, I wasn't given the most favorable rate, but I ended up becoming a long-term account holder, and after a while, I was able to maximize on the amount that they were able to loan. I was able to get a better rate and negotiate on different term limits. There's many different loans out there, but be careful on who you go to. Do your due diligence and search those people to the roots of their foundation. Just I'm not saying that you have to hold them hostage with every single potential complaint or dispute they've had. But if you have a general good feeling, always follow your gut, because that's just responsible. So become an authorized user on an account. Well, let's say you don't really have any credit and you don't know where to start, but you understand that your parents, they've sometimes got a big purchase out of somewhere, like, hey, Dad, you just got a 70-inch TV. Where'd that come from? I need some new clothes for school or something. Well, more than likely they financed it. They probably got it from Best Buy or whatever. Well, become an authorized user on that account. That way they can start building you. Now, if they don't really have that much reason to believe that you'll help them make the payment, well, that's whenever I referred to keeping that personal checks and balances. You want to have good credit with other people other than corporations. It's just, you're a good person. I believe that, we're this class specifically, we're becoming, teachers. We're molding the youth of this nation. We want to be able to implement that in them as well. Start them off early. So another way is just be a co-signer. Your dad is understanding you're in college. You need to get to where you're going, A to B. You can be a co-signer on that auto loan, and that will start helping you build credit. But always be aware of what you're getting into. Just because you let your dad sign it and you signed it too, but your dad understands it, well, you're not really being responsible, because you need to be able to take that knowledge further, because you will set foot off on your own eventually. And if it's not, it's still fine. It's always nice to have somebody there for you. So credit can work in tandem with a lot of different people in your life. So just keep that in mind. So another good way to build credit is to apply for a credit card at a store or a gas station. Why do you ask me? Just one store or just one gas station? Well, a lot of them have rewards. A lot of them have apps. A lot of them give you multiple means to access additional funds. Like your money is making itself. You spent it, yeah. A lot of places have 5% cash back. The gas station can give 2% back, and you can apply it in many different ways depending on the promotions. So those, if you look a little deeper into it, store and gas. Well, I go to the store every 2 weeks or so, and I gotta put gas just about every week. I know we all see how high it's getting in Texas, but those are, primary means of living. So it would be a good idea for you to look at, what's out there for you. Who do you use? Exxon, you use Kroger, Walmart. Everybody has a credit card nowadays for their own company. So, do your due diligence, check through it thoroughly. Another way to build credit is to make a large down payment and negotiate a loan for the balance. Oh, I can't express to you how much creditors love hearing you say they love that you have a large down payment. I guarantee you their eyes will widen. It makes it so much more easier for them because it gives them that level of comfort that you are who you say you are. You have the money to back, where your mouth is at. And more than likely, if you've had that large down payment, you're financially responsible. You know how to save money or make money, and it opens up the room to barter. Hey, get that lower payment per month. You get that lower balance to pay off. You get the favorable option that works best for you. You are the consumer. You set the pace. So always forget that. You hold the crown. And I guarantee you, if you walk with this sense of pride, you will get further in life faster. And, people will respect you for that. They're going to say, hey, you got that nice car. How much you pay for it? Oh, I got it for about $30,000. That's a $60,000 car. I'm just giving a reference. I'm not sure if that's a more reasonable. I'm not too into cars, but you know what I mean. If you're able to get a good percentage off based off of the current market price, you look better to everybody, and they will eventually come to you. And hey, I love helping people. I love, seeing the expression of people's gratitude, and that's just enough for me. I don't need much more else. So be that person. I promise you, you are a good gear in this world, especially whenever some things just don't feel right. So, as continued. Maintain your credit. Pay your bills on time and as agreed, and continue to pay down your debt balances. Keep the proportion of your credit you use low compared with your credit limit, and don't apply for too much credit. Avoid actions or inactions that may create new entries. So that's a key one I might have to stop on, because I know we're on the internet every day. It doesn't matter what amount of time you are. We all know what links are. We all know that they bring us to a whole nother page, and sometimes those pages can ask you for access. They ask you for information. So let's say you have autofill on and your phone's not as secure without biometrics. It's going to autofill that. And what happens if you accidentally submit that entry? Well, boom, you just earned yourself a hard inquiry. But wait, I didn't want that company. I didn't even get to look at them. I didn't do my due diligence. Well, those are inactions. So you got to be careful with those. Like I said, they fall off after 2 years. Imagine checking your credit report every now and then, and you get pulled back to that day. Like, man, why did I go to that site? And it was an accident. It wasn't even me. Well, the credit reports aren't gonna really care. I mean, you can always dispute. So, like I said, don't ever feel like it's the end of the world, but it's just a huge inconvenience. So please be on the lookout. Another good way to maintain your credit is your taxes and child support. I understand most of us not necessarily being in that bracket, but it is considered. So that leaves room for you to consider that it could be also happening to you. So check your credit reports regularly and dispute errors. But more importantly, keep good financial records. That can save you a bunch. You want to be able to quickly go back to where you last had any knowledge or information about a certain instance and just be on top of it. Remember, dot those I's, cross those T's. You can be it. Get help. We have financial institutions. You have Prosperity Bank. There are also non-profit consumer credit counseling services. And there's housing counseling agencies approved by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD for short. There's financial education for nonprofit organizations. There's certified financial planners. There is a multitude of ways for you to be able to gain more knowledge. If you feel like this isn't sufficient, I will be here for you. I'm gonna leave my email at the end of class, and whatever you feel like you need help reaching out to, I'm here for you. I love being service oriented, and seeing as how y'all are gonna be doing the greatest service, I appreciate you as well. And so it's just my pleasure to be here to, be on this journey of knowledge and growth. So credit repair and debt consolidation. Credit repair companies, they promise to fix your credit for a fee. And debt consolidation businesses, they offer different services and often specialize in debt consolidation loans and debt settlement services. So if you feel like you're, not up to par, or you got a lot going on in life, there are companies out here that can do it for you. I always recommend, this is your life. This is your progress report. This is, your permanent record. We got to stay on top of that. So use caution. Big exclamation right there. Use caution. With debt consolidation, you can take out new loans to pay off other debts, but it does not address underlying causes of debt. And with debt settlement, you're working with creditors to accept lower payments and settle the debt, but you might have to pay income tax on the portion that was settled. So that difference, you may be clear for a few months, but once that year rolls around, you're gonna have to pay taxes on it. And that's just, something to be on the lookout for. You can do it yourself. I'm confident in you. I know you are in the area of life to where you are basically masters of the universe. So let's get it. Be very aware that there are credit repair scams. We are on the internet right now. There are many ways people can scam us. There's phishing calls. There's malicious sites that put an overlay over your screen, and the hackers are able to see what you're inputting. But more importantly, the credit repair companies that are maybe given through ads or pop-ups that promise to erase bad credit or remove other negative but accurate information, I guarantee you that it's not going to be for free or in terms of goodwill to you. And they promise fast and easy credit repair. It's never that fast. There's always communication delays. There's the workloads that other people have. You could be backlogged, like for my instance, and it could just linger. You don't want it to linger on your credit report. And especially, this should just be a no-brainer. If they offer to create a new identity for you, I can't tell you how illegal that is in many states, but I'm pretty sure that's common sense for many of you. And they want you to pay up front. I'm not going to give you money for services you haven't rendered. I'm a consumer. How do I know that I got my item? How will I know you'll continue or even start to process what you say you will? Am I going to get that in writing? Do I have a contract? You just want it up front? No, we're not doing that. This is my money. I'm getting the product that I want. I'll pay you a little bit, but I gotta do my due diligence and see if you are who you say you are. Are you an authorized? Do you have any good? Do you have any like a Google review? Do you have any good comments about you? Do you have a Better Business Bureau? There are multiple ways to verify a company. So, and especially people who will not tell you about your rights. If they want to pull you your social, with your credit score, and they don't want to tell you why they denied you, and they just took your information like that, that's another thing to look out for. So let's continue. Protect your credit history. If there's initial fraud alerts, if there's an active duty military alert, an extended fraud alert, a credit freeze, a credit lock, some of these terms are used by people with malicious intent. So, since we are on the internet, be careful with those links, be careful with those numbers. If they ask you to call them, if it's immediate, like I said, if anything gets stuck on your credit report and it's lingering there, obviously the companies aren't in an expeditious manner to help you. So don't worry, you're not going to get arrested. They can't arrest you like that. They try to scare you. They try to use fear tactics. So always be slow to act, but quick to think, and make sure you are able to recognize these attempts. You can always check your credit score. You don't always have to give your information out. Validate the phone number, validate the email, validate every possible method you can think that somebody who is trying to get at you, that they won't. So let's go. So your credit history, your past, does not have to be your credit future. As simple as that. So take action. What will you do? How will you do it? And will I share my plans with anyone? If so, who? And that's very important. That is the last one, because your information is important. Your identity is important. Who you are, what you do, and what is determined in your life is you. You are the master of the universe. You are in control. Do not fear, and keep on and prosper. This does conclude the end of our presentation. Once again, my name is Isaiah Canales. It was my thorough privilege to be here with you. I'm sorry it took a little bit longer than expected. I'm still here for you. I'll be here a little while longer. Thank you for attending, and have a blessed day. If there's any questions, Ms. Tidwell, I got Mr. Rudy here as well. Go Gators.
Yes, go Gators, right up, y'all. First of all, let me ask everyone to, thank you, Kaylin, I see you already on it. Go ahead and give Rudy, I'm sorry, Isaiah, I did this last time too. Please, it's because I see Rudy, and that's why it's like, okay, it's clicking. Go ahead and give Isaiah some reactions. You can actually give reactions in the chat. You can give reactions via the reactions button. I'm gonna give him the woo woo. Thank you so much for the
Woo.
Really, it really was great information. I'm going to go ahead and put the survey in the chat, everyone. Before you take it, please make sure you thank Isaiah and thank Rudy for coming today. It was an honor to have them come, take away from their schedule to speak with us, give us some really great information. I hope you guys took notes. I took quite a few. I actually have some questions, but we are over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the survey in the chat, and if you can stay, you're more than welcome to, but if you have to go, we are aware that you may be on a time crunch. So the survey has been put into the chat. Rudy and Isaiah, will you go ahead and put your emails in the chat as well? So if students connect with you, they have that ability. I'm sure you'll get one or two students that are going to have some questions about, hey, I'm new to credit. Where's a great place to start? Should I start at YouTube to find out more about credit, or should I reach out to you guys? What are some steps to build my credit? So those are probably going to be the kind of questions you guys get. So go ahead, information in the chat. Students, please feel free to copy and paste an email or into a sheet and save it. And feel free to reach out to Isaiah and Rudy at Prosperity Bank. They have different locations all over Houston. So they're If they're not able to connect with you, they have partners that may be able to reach you where you are. Let's see. If you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to go after you finish your survey. If you do have questions, raise your hand, say something, hop on the mic. Don't be afraid. This is an open invitation. Let me see.
Jan, just some quick tips for the students. This is a lot of information to take in over an hour, and it's not intended to be all inclusive. So I do encourage you to investigate it at your own pace. You know, any kind of topics you still have questions on, whether it's credit scores or improving your score or starting your credit or fraud alerts. There's so many details that you can go into, and it's worth it because, as I said earlier, it's about you. It's for your benefit. A credit report is essentially your reflection of your responsibility to the rest of the world on a consumer basis, and you want to make sure you put that best foot forward. So thank y'all again for your time, and best wishes towards a better credit history.
Y'all, we thank you. I think, Isaiah, you hit something that was really important. Why it's important to have your credit is because background checks, places, including school districts, do check your credit. So you want to make sure that you either have, some of you have no credit, or that you have at least decent credit so you pass that background check. That's why we have these kind of workshops. So you know, okay, either I need to work on it before I apply, or I need to try and establish it. So that way, when they do look for it, if they are requiring any type of credit, I have established some.
Yep, absolutely.
Any questions? You are more than welcome to go after you have filled out the survey. If you do have questions, please feel free to stay. I'm going to ask Rudy some questions. I mean, Isaiah, I'm going to keep doing that until it's because I see you. That's what it is. So the questions that I would ask are, if they're still on, students, who has ran a credit report? If you've run your credit report, just let me know, put it in the chat or raise your hand, give me a thumbs up. Okay, one. So we've got one. That's one person. Don't feel, okay, that's two. See, there's two of you. You come in pairs. Okay, so there's at least two of you that have ran your credit report. Who feels comfortable enough now that you've had the workshop to run your credit report? I never had my credit report ran. I've never ran my credit report. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so, oh, Caitlin, you've never had yours ran, or you feel more comfortable?
Yes, definitely.
That's good. See, that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so.
It's referenced in the slideshow as well. Go to annualcreditreport.com and you can order your credit report for free.
I will be sending these slides out to you guys. So just be prepared, and the email, it's gonna come, but I gotta upload this to YouTube first. Another question would be, who feels comfortable enough to say what was the most helpful, maybe fact that you learned today? Don't be shy, guys. We don't bite. Skya? Go ahead.
A lot, but I would say, like, I guess building, because I do have a credit card, but like, you know, I still have a good credit report, but I want to like build more. I didn't know how to, so I had more information from this workshop, which helped a lot. So I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Okay, anybody? I feel like I learned, I know you said it last at the first presentation, the first workshop, was the 7-year, after the first year of you stop payment, the 7 years starts after that. And like, it was the way that you explained it with the visual. That was eye-opening. I was like, oh, so that's what they mean by the 7. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Quite lengthy. I don't need that on my record.
I do not. Do not. So does anybody else have any questions? Those were the questions that I had. For students who are just now starting out, I would suggest emailing Isaiah or Rudy and maybe doing like a one-on-one so that you can have a session built to your credit specifically. It's important for you to know your credit. It's important for you to understand it. And it's important for you to work with someone who understands how it works without trying to figure it out on your own. When I was growing up, I'm not going to tell my age because that's my business. Okay, I see you, Elizabeth. Thank you. Elizabeth says, thank you. She learned a lot. Everybody have a great rest of her day. I will say that I did not have this information. It was me trying to drudge through, you know, how do I build it? How do I fix it? How do I repair it? I was young. I was stupid. I was giving my credit card information, my social security to whoever. Oh, you'll give me a hot dog? Here's my credit. This is what I need.
Free.
Bag of chips? Yeah, it was stupid. So I want you guys to have all the tools and information that you need so that you can be as successful as you can with maintaining and building and keeping healthy credit. If no one has anything else, we are done. Did everybody fill out the survey? All right, if you filled out the survey, you are free to go. If you have questions, you're more than welcome. Thank you, Caitlin, I appreciate that. You too, sweetie. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them. We are here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And don't forget to smash that like button, hit the bell, and subscribe. Check out the merch we got in the store, as well as Prosperity Bank.
I love it. I love that energy. Yes. Estella, do you have questions? Okay, so she's gone. All right. Let me stop recording.